The brand new head coach of the University of Florida Gators, Jon Sumrall, joins us right now. Good morning, Coach. Thanks for taking a break from mat drills to join us on the triple option. We'll get to mat drills in a second, but I want to make sure you're involved in this conversation, but I'm going to let Urban start it, right? We got two Gator head coaches right now, and I know, Urban, you were very involved in the behind-the-scenes hiring process of Coach Sumrall. So take us through some of the timeline, and Coach Sumrall, feel free to chime in and maybe fill in some of the blanks, or at least spice them up for us.
Well, welcome, Coach Sumrall, and Scott Strickland, the AD at Florida, and I've become pretty close over the last couple of years. And I went back this year for the Hall of Fame, on-campus celebration, and we had a lot of conversations about, Florida's a unique place, like all big-time places. Every place has got their little niche, and Florida's a tough job. It's a demanding job, and it's got to have the right individual. And so I got involved. I spoke to some other coaches, and then finally they asked me to do some homework. And when someone asked me to do my homework, I am. And I started watching interviews because I think how a person handles himself in front of the camera, in front of the team, is very important. I'm not even sure Coach Sumrall knows this, but I did some homework and had a friend of mine gather about 10 interviews that he did, and I had them pick them because I didn't have time to run through all of them. And then I talked to people that you coached against. Then I put out the film. And the first thing I watched was special teams. Then I watched their defense, and then I watched the offensive line. And I wanted to see because I have very, very strong opinions of what Florida need, what winning programs need. And then I got him on the phone, and it was a done deal after that. I talked to him, and Mark, you'll appreciate this. In this day and age of everybody talking about transfer, NIL contracts, all that nonsense, it's not nonsense, it's real. But we're talking to a coach, and all he talked about is his strength coach, a Green Beret, a guy that he believed in. All he talked about, I believe, and I don't believe, I know this, and I know, Mark, your former head coach, Coach Saban, believe this. You go win that damn championship in January, February, March, April, May, June. People think you get ready in August. You don't get ready in August, not in major at the highest level of college football. And Coach Sumrall blew me away. And I called Coach Scott Strickland back. And there was one issue, Rob, and that's Coach Sumrall's wife's an Auburn Tiger.
Ooh, that's a big issue for Mark, too.
And I don't want to get too much in the woods there because that's his business. But when I heard that, then I flipped the hat on backwards and I put on a recruiting speech. And I went after his hat. I went after his ass now. And
good
I'm so
recruiting
proud.
speech,
Hey,
Coach?
John, I'm proud you're a Gator, man.
Man, I appreciate that, Coach. Yeah, what Coach Meyer just talked about in our conversation on the phone. We spent a lot of time talking about really behind the scenes, what it is day in, day out to run a program. It wasn't like he said, NIL, rev share, transfer portal. Are those things real in our world? Yeah, they are. But that's not what I'm passionate about. And I am passionate about our players getting paid. I'm great with that. Like they deserve to be paid. I'm good. I'm fine with player movement, but I love the off season. The season, it is what it is. The work's the work. The weeks are the weeks. Monday is a Monday every week in a game week. The same type of flow of the day. But to Coach's point, like our head strength coach here, Rusty Witt, a Green Beret, and we say this all the time. This is a Navy SEAL thing, not a Jon Sumrall thing or a Rusty Witt thing or an Urban Meyer thing. But you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training. And so our world right now is like, hey, you get a brand new team. We got 50 plus new players right now that have never been in the swamp on a game day. And so how quickly can we get them connected? And really that's only forged through adversity and maybe the off-season work you put in the mat drills, and you have to make it hard. And so we've been grinding that, those conversations with Coach Meyer. That first one was really cool for me. To his point, he put on the recruiting hat a little bit. Like, look, as a college football coach, I'm 43. All right. Coach Meyer, 01, 02, you were at, were you at Bowling Green or Utah then?
Bowling Green.
Yeah. I was a player in college, all right? And I became a GA, and I was a GA at Kentucky when Coach Meyer was the head coach at Florida. And so as a young coach, I looked at Coach Meyer and I'm like, man, that's what the standard of this profession looks like, of how to have success and how to do it the right way. So your phone rings and you may be a candidate for the University of Florida head football job, and Urban Meyer's on the other end, you're like, I got chills. I was like, man, okay, this is real.
Yeah.
And I did have options. There were other things out there at play. I've had options the last couple of years. When you have success, that comes. But man, the University of Florida is a special place. Championships are the expectations and the standard, and that was set by going back to Coach Meyer and Coach Spurrier.
Yeah, man, Coach, that's awesome, man. I'm happy for you. And obviously, we know that recruiting is a huge part of this job. The Under Armour All-American game, it was this weekend. There were multiple recruits that already talked about the impact that you and your staff have already made. What has been your approach to the recruiting, and is Florida number one priority on that list? The state of Florida with this hotbed of talent.
It always starts at home. Yeah, I think your recruiting efforts begin at home. Now they don't end there, but they begin there. And so we have to win at home. We got to do a good job in the state. We're very privileged and fortunate to be in a state, Mark, that we've got great players here. High school football in the state of Florida is special. There's a lot of talent. There's good coaches all throughout the state. We do have a brand also that's national to some degree. So the Florida logo carries weight. I don't care if you're in New York or California.
Yes.
If you see the Gator head or you see the script Gators,
It's real.
it means something. So
It
we have
does.
the ability to recruit nationally at the same time, but it does start at home. And our approach is, man, we're real and we're authentic. Like, I'm not the type of guy that recruits a kid and they come on campus and all of a sudden they're like, man, why'd you change? Like, I ain't changing. And in recruiting conversations with every young man that steps in my office, sometimes my assistant coaches, they're like, hey, are you trying to recruit that guy or de-recruit him? Because I ask all of them, I'm like, hey, if you're tough and you love football and you want to get coached, you're going to love being a Florida Gator. If you're not tough and you don't love football and you think you've got all the answers and don't want to get coached, please go somewhere else.
Yeah,
Like, do not come here, because
that's
I
real.
want guys that are passionate about their growth and development. That doesn't mean everybody's always a finished product when they come here, but it's about, are you open to being grown and developed? And so I think guys feel that transparency. They feel the energy. And the one thing I'll say, Mark, is like, a head coach, Coach Meyer, can tell you this gets a lot of credit and a lot of blame, and deservedly so. But I do feel strongly I've hired a really good staff. And that's allowed us to get in on some of these recruits because your coaching staff, your assistants, they really are the ones that are out there pounding the pavement every day, making sure the right guys are being brought into the building.
Yeah.
I'm going to go off script here a minute. This toughness conversation is, first of all, it is the way to win. I'll argue with, you can throw the ball all over the field. If you're a soft-ass team, at some point you're going to blow up. And one of the things I would always challenge our team and staff, I want to find out about a coach's toughness and a player's toughness well before the third quarter against Florida State or against LSU, because it's going to surface at some point. This day and age is much different. You got the transfer when kids you get too hard on them, they leave. I've heard stories. How do you teach toughness in 2026?
Yeah, Coach, I'm a firm believer that mental toughness precedes physical toughness. Like, the mind tells the body what to do. And I do think, going back to the mat drill component, we make that challenging. We make it something that's almost unattainable. And we put the guys through, it's an accountability contest. I'm a firm believer that most football games, they're not won, they're lost because somebody will tap out.
Yes.
Like, somebody will
Agreed.
quit, somebody will give in, right? And so for us, to your point, I don't want to find out in September who's going to tap out and what's going to make them tap. I want to find out in February. I want to find out. I want to make it as hard as we can now so that we get to the games. Man, we're tested. We've been there. And are there going to be some unique things that we can't present to them maybe here in our own facility in February? Yeah, we can't put another team out there that they don't know who they're going against day in, day out. But we have to challenge them. And I do think some people in this world of transfer portal or NIL have gotten maybe a little bit cautious on pushing guys to that line. But for us, and here's the deal, I'm never trying to break our players, but I am trying to make them stronger. And what becomes strong becomes unbreakable. And so I want to see how far can we go to make them so tough that they won't tap out. We talk a lot. We're Gators around here. man, we want to get into the deep water in the fourth quarter, and we want to be the ones that are comfortable in that deep water. Like
Yep.
we're very comfortable in our surrounding when it gets in those situations.
Am I the only one who's feeling like I'm having a flashback to 2005 and I'm listening and looking at a young Urban Meyer? It's not just me, right, Mark?
Oh.
Hey,
Coach?
it's a guy that I want to go play for. I tell you that.
100%. Coach, I think you're feeling the same way, and I think that's probably why you like him so much. Coach Sumrall.
Here, I'm gonna add this because I just love this conversation. Whatever your mind tells you're gonna do as an athlete or a coach, you're gonna do. And if you get him, so I used to say we're gonna callous him up, we're gonna scar him up a little bit, and by the time we hit that third quarter against Georgia in the cocktail party, you're a scarred up dude. I mean, you've been through it. You're not in uncomfortable like you just said. You are in the deep water, but you know what? You've been there.
You're battle tested.
And the best thing is, and I won't name names, but in the SEC back in the day, I knew the teams that once we got them in the deep water, we had their ass. But then I also knew the guys sitting to my, Saban's teams with Mark Ingram. I also knew that deep water, there's going to be two people know how to handle it. You know why? Because he was trained to handle that shit. And that's what I love about this coach we got at Florida and Coach Sumrall. So I appreciate it. Hey, real quick. So how do you got a completely new roster. They come in, you said half that team has not even jogged on the one of the best stadiums, if not the best stadium in college football. How do you try to indoctrinate them with the history of Florida football?
I think you have to educate them on what this place is about, and expose them to maybe what the history is. And I think there's that component to it. There has to be an appreciation where, man, being a Gator means something to you. And so some of that's through maybe storytelling or exposing them to guys that have been around this program. That's why, Coach, I can't wait to get you back here around this team. You're coming back to speak at our coaches clinic, which fires me up so our coaches can even get some of that education. Very, very fortunate. I hired Bam Harbin, who played here in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then I hired Phil Trotwine to be our O-line coach, who played for you, Coach Meyer. And so you've got some guys in the building that have, touched and been a part of this program in some special times as well. So they understand that. And so they can even help me understand it. Because I think if I don't know it, then how do I expect our players to know it? And so I have to get myself informed on what this place means and what it's about. It is a special place. As quickly as you can get the guys to understand what it means to be a Florida Gator, as quickly as you can get them to have connectivity to each other and care about each other, is when you have a chance. And so, we're going to talk tomorrow as a team. One of our core values is love. And I'm not talking about purple skies and butterflies or seeing a pretty girl on campus. I'm talking about, man, the old G.K. Chesterton quote, the true soldier doesn't fight for what's across from him. He fights for what's behind him.
Yes.
We've got to create a culture here where our guys care so deeply about each other, and they've been through so much shared sacrifice together that they understand what it means to be a Gator. They have an appreciation for the guys that have come before them and understand the history of this program and how special it is to be a part of this program.
Yeah. I feel like we need to do a DNA test to make sure there's no Meyer blood running through you, Coach Sumrall.
I take that as a compliment.
You should. It's a hell of a compliment.
Look, he has a daddy.
And to your point, I've never worked with Coach Meyer, but I've watched him from afar. I've studied as a young coach when you're developing who you're going to be. And I'm myself. I can't be Urban. I can't be Coach Spurrier. I'm not them. But you have a great deal of respect for the guys that have come before you. And I've watched how they've moved. I've watched how they've carried themselves. I watched Coach Meyer's teams compete with a grit and a toughness that's never been compromised. They always fought, and I have a great respect for that. And another person, we got Spikes in the building, which that's a whole different story. We could have an hour-long podcast on Spikes.
Be Spikes.
Right? But he's here, so in the building. So I'm honored to sit in the same seat Coach Meyer sat in.
So let me give you something that Urban likes to say. One of his phrases, he's got a lot of them, and you'll probably start picking up on them. You know, you can be fast, but you got to be fast. You got to be elite, right? You want elite people. One of his favorite things when he's looking at a program, any program, is he'll start it off by saying, when you pop the hood on this team, right? So we're going to pop the hood. You popped the hood on the Gators when you got there to Gainesville. What did you find underneath that hood that needed fixed or that was running really smoothly?
Yeah, I think there were some things going well. I think academics has been really good here. I told the team here in my first team meeting in January, they had a 3.6 GPA. I told them I'd be okay with a 3.0 and more than 10 wins. Like that'd be fine with me. But there've been really good people brought into the building. Like I think sometimes, and Urban can speak to this, having walked into new programs at times, there are good people in this building. The guys have been recruited here. I think they're of high character. Where I feel like we've had to really push the envelope here in developing this team is in the weight room, doing some of the dirty work. Maybe to Coach Meyer's comment earlier, becoming a little bit more calloused. I think it maybe it became a little too casual or a little too complacent, a little too comfortable. And so I think those things are probably where we've needed the most attention. That starts at the line of scrimmage. We got a long way to go, man. Like the first workout we had here when we deadlifted, and I went in and deadlifted with the O-line. Like I did the workout they were doing, man. And I'm sitting here going, this is not where we need to be as an SEC O-line yet. We're going to get there. It's coming. But there's been a ton of growth just in the last 2 months. But the weight room, the strength, the physicality, the toughness, that's where probably I feel like we've needed attention. I think you have to love to compete too. And so in our mat drills, the way we've got them set up, you're paired with another guy all morning, and there's a freaking winner and there's a freaking loser of every rep, and it's scored. And 20 minutes after the mat drills are over, it's on every TV in the building, posted everywhere. So you can find out, were you a winner today or was your ass a loser today? And
That's real.
because you got to compete every day. I think that's where we have to grow, is we have to grow to where our competitive edge is so fiery that we hate losing more than we like winning. Like you have to be pissed off and hate losing. And so I think creating that is probably where we've had to spend most of our time and attention. It's not on athletic traits outside of the weight room and strength. I think the strength component's one where maybe I was a little bit underwhelmed when I popped the hood, where I'm like, hey, this team's got to get stronger.
How much can you deadlift right now?
I'm probably like 345, 335. I'm not going crazy. Look, I'm 43, bro. Like I'm not doing anything like back in the day, but I like to still make sure that if I get into a fight, I can beat somebody's ass. You know what I mean?
Hey, got to stay dangerous at all times, Coach.
Yeah.
Got to stay
Urban,
dangerous.
what was your deadlift record?
Oh God, I don't even know.
Yeah, there we go.
Coach, you be moving some furniture when we be in them hotel gyms, man. I be seeing you.
Yeah.
No, but
Not deadlifting. I do the whole man workout.
Yeah.
No, Coach Sumrall, man. Obviously, we always talk about some of the changes that we'd have in this moving landscape of college football. We know the transfer portal has been moved to just once a year. Obviously, the college football playoff format that has kind of come out, changed a little bit. Now, what would you change in college football? You're the head of college football. You're the commissioner of college football. What is one thing that you would change if you were in charge of college football?
I love to get the calendar shifted back to where the national championship game was closer to January 1. I realized because of TV and the NFL games in December, we've moved some of this back. I love the expanded playoff. I'm great with it. It doesn't bother me at all that there's maybe more access. I think it makes the regular season. When Urban was coaching, you had 2 losses and you were out, which
One sometimes.
Now what's changed in our world, obviously we've gone to 9 SEC games, which has made this league even more brutal almost. And so not that it was easy before. And so I do think if we could start the season, maybe everybody week 0, start the playoff a little earlier, those sort of things I think would be helpful to get the end of the championship season closer to January 1, maybe not January 1 exactly, but close.
Yeah, close.
I'm not mad at the one portal window because what I do like about it is it allows me to know in January I got my team.
Yeah.
And I'm able to callous that team, like Coach said earlier, from the jump. And there is no April, May roster movement. The only frustrating part there is I was very successful my first year at Troy and at Tulane in a lot of parts because that second portal window. Because what I got to do is go through spring practice, find out where I still had some holes or deficiencies. Because you may think you landed it right in December, but it's so hard to get it perfect because you don't even really know your own team, much less what you're trying to bring in yet, and it's speed dating in the portal. And so I think the second portal window for a first year head coach is not a bad thing because you could go through spring ball and figure it out. But I'm okay with it for the long haul of college football because I do think calming down it being free agency almost year round is good. And then going back to the calendar piece, I do think there would be, the NFL's got this thing figured out where like coaches can't move until the season's over, right? And so the biggest hurdle I had this year, Mark, man, I was a head coach at 2 programs for 3 weeks.
Mm.
And you want to talk about sleeping, I wasn't. Like
You're in a playoff.
Yeah,
You're in a playoff, and then you're building a program at the same time unanimously. It's like
I took this job on a Sunday. All right, after the last regular season game, I had a Monday morning practice, which was really a Tuesday practice, which is a physical, like that's the meat and potatoes practice of the week, the first one, because we were playing on a Friday night. Flew here after that Monday/Tuesday practice for a press conference. Flew right back that Monday night because that Tuesday we had what was a Wednesday practice because we were playing Friday night.
Yeah.
That Wednesday we had signing day. I signed 18 guys here at Florida, and I signed 14 at Tulane when they had no head coach in place for the 2026 season. I was overseeing 2 signing days, which was 2 days out from a conference championship game. And we play a conference championship game Friday night, which is to get into the CFP. And so like that week, what all was going on, it was maniacal. I'm like, this makes no sense. I'm trying to hold the roster together there, hold the roster together at Tulane so we can play in the CFP, sign guys at both schools, put a staff together here, give direction to my staff at Tulane. Like that stuff, just the calendar doesn't make sense on those things to me. I think we could clean a lot of it up.
I got one more question, Coach, and that's the scheduling. When I was at Florida, we played Florida State. You play Florida State. That's a rivalry game. You throw 9 conference games on top of that, and top to bottom, the SEC, I still believe is the best conference in college football. However, you saw Indiana play Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. Do you have a philosophy? Is Florida State here to stay? And then with the other 2, do you just, and I know Miami shows up every 5 years, I think. One year we had Miami, Florida State, both top 5 teams. And then, it was ridiculous. What's your you and Scott's opinion on scheduling?
I think Florida State stays forever. Like that one, I don't know that it moves regardless of how many games we go to. I do think if your ultimate goal is to play in the CFP, it's smart of you to evaluate what's worked in the past. My last year at Troy as the head coach, we and SMU was still a G5, G6 school at the time, and Tulane, where I ended up going next, were probably the 3 best G6 schools. But Liberty got in because they were undefeated and they had played Conference USA games and only other G5 games. Where we were playing two Power 4 schools at Troy. We were playing Kansas State and somebody else. Like we were playing real games in our non-conference. So I do think some uniformity in the non-conference would be helpful. Our league has a mandatory 1 Power 4 game outside of the 9. It's everybody in our league has to play 1 P4 out of conference game. Big Ten does not. I think it's helpful for the selection committee if we're all doing the same type of scheduling. That the AFC and the NFC, they go to the playoffs. They don't go play an XFL or UFL or USFL team to figure out who gets in the playoffs. So it's like, it's cleaner, it's simpler. Where our model is a scheduling. It's like, all right, what matters more, being undefeated? The other component to it is you want to challenge yourself and be battle tested, but it's also nice when you can maybe go through a year and find a game or 2 where your team doesn't have to play every snap of the game as starters. Where that was the biggest challenge I had last year at Tulane, our non-conference last year at Tulane. All right, We open up with Northwestern, Big Ten team.
Yeah.
We win the game 23-3, but my starters had to play every snap. All right. Then we play South Alabama, who's been a solid G5 team, didn't have a great record last year. Then we go play Duke, all right, the ACC champion. We beat them, but our starters had to play every snap of the game to win that game. And then we get a layup in game 4. We played Ole Miss. All right. So it's like our non-conference schedule was so brutal. My biggest fear, Urban, was where we're going to get to conference play and going to be worn the hell out and not be able to go win the conference because we were beat up.
Coach Sumrall, great conversation. We appreciate the time, and we are wishing Urban Part 2 all kinds of luck and success in Gainesville. I have a feeling you're going to find it and find it quickly.
It's Sumrall Part 1, Coach.
It's Sumrall Part 1, Meyer Part 2. I love it. It's like a summer movie blockbuster chain, right? Like Part 2 coming your way this summer, coming your way this fall in Gainesville. Jon Sumrall, the head coach of University of Florida. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Coming up next, we have our first lawyer on the show, sports law expert for Sportico, Michael McCann, cleans up some misconceptions and walks us through the legal hurdles out there as we try to fix college sports.